Yes, boys, yes. I thought I spilled it for a second, you see, but we've got At the Gates today to drink from the Noid itself. Now, I do feel a little weird reviewing this, as At the Gates are obviously a seminal metal band whose magnum opus, Slaughter of the Soul, is considered to be one of the cornerstones of the genre. Yet, I haven't heard anything they've done, and as such can only judge this without that context in a vacuum. Completely discreet, boys. As it stands, this album represents a contradictory nature that a lot of albums in this genre don't. And that's partially in the sound compositionally, but also, and most especially, in the production. There's something muffled and muddy about the tonal layers, especially on the guitars, which is reminiscent of old school death metal like Slayer, which I absolutely adore. Yet it also contradicts itself by succeeding with an otherwise modernized sound, mirroring many aspects from deathcore and metalcore with this distinctly punchy drumming and vocals. The comparisons don't end there, of course, with the self-titled track here almost feeling like it could have come out of Trivium's Shogun. I mean, especially in the delivery of the vocals and lyrics. They have that same shouted bite as that of Matt Heathy on that song and many others here. Yet also on the guitar work and how those sweep picking of the riffs descend into infectious progressions and how the drummer crunches out his notes at a faster tempo. It's all oddly familiar. So yes, overall, I was taken aback by just how contemporary the sound is here, whilst not sacrificing the roots with old school melodic death metal. And it does make me wonder if they succeeded with this sound in the past, or if this is just the most organically blended album they've ever put together in terms of crossing those genre boundaries. Now, in terms of songwriting, I was impressed by their knack at finding almost the exact same sweet spot in terms of instrumentation and song structures with every song. The guitarist Martin Larson in particular showcases his proficiency at finding those wrangling, infectious riffs without exception, providing the melodic foundation from which the bass and vocals can use as a counterpoint. And I do mean it when I say that every song has catchy riffs interwoven, because I really struggled to find inconsistencies in the track listing here, despite the highs provided by several of the songs. Now, you could successfully argue a lot of the instrumentals, and most especially the drumming, is heavily recycled, generic, or otherwise not bringing anything new to the party, yet I'll just argue more in favor of the instrumentation just being really fucking fun, mate. Fucking great. And honestly, this is what somewhat alienates me from some other metal critics when they use originality and repeating song structures as two cardinal sins of this style of melodic death metal in particular, because their own cynicism mars just how fun this album can otherwise be. Of course, people who say this is lacking in creativity are correct, because there is a sense of recyclability in every song, and that does include the riffs, of course, which are just a motley of sweep picking more or less, and not to mention the song structures are more or less one and the same with very little to no variation. And they could have gone more balls to the wall on a couple songs here. I mean, take one of the best moments of the album, that solo finishing the chasm. It's so empowering and tinged with melodic, arpeggiated goodness that for the song to end so abruptly and without a meaningful resolution, it's just an opportunity lost, boys. There is also a sense of phoned in, or at least half-baked interweaving of orchestral elements in the back end of the closer as well. A lot more effort could have been put in here to make those strings a reoccurring motif in that song, at least, to give it more meaning. But instead, they sort of come across as lazily shoved in. But you know, it is a closer, and this is At the Gates in 2018. You know, they're not exactly as fresh as fucking spring chickens over here. You know, I'll cut them some slack, mate. Fucking. More crucially, the vocals are one of the most unimaginative elements to the sound here, even despite my love for what seems like a grainy filter over the top of them, with the intensity remaining discernible and gratifying. It's just that there is an abundance of flat harmonies and a complete lack of interesting or varied examples of him turning over a line. Yet I do love Russ Russell's production. I love the niche that he carved out with this album, with the different stylings of the instruments to create those distinctly hazy soundscapes, yet still punchy. And again, I just love Anders Bjorla's fucking riffs. I just do. I think they're unarguably catchy and easily the most enjoyable thing about this album, saving it from mediocrity by some distance, and not Unlike many other melodic death metal albums out there, they just single-handedly make every song here a bucket of fun, just crawling in a haze with his brother's bass underpinning them as well. Again, I can't discern a single unworthy track here for the consistency and the riffs, despite my wanting for the album to be maybe 1 or 2 songs longer, as 44 minutes or so of the same thing can be a little exhausting. So yeah, I'll just finish the review up at that. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, fucking do it, boy. Oh yeah, I gotta rate it as well. Okay, so I haven't even thought about this, boys. I'm gonna chuck this a 3 point... Fuck knows, man. 3.8. Too easy, mate. 3.9. 3.9, boys. 3.9. There you go. I'm feeling generous. Yeah. Now, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review, as I probably already said, but just have a good one, mate, and just have a good one. Have so much of a good one that you have 2 good ones at once, and it just becomes a great one. How about that, boys? All right. I'm not drunk. I'll catch you later. Well, where's the fucking stop recording button? Yes.